Hello, Nina. Nice to see you. Nice to talk to you. Thank you for your time, for joining me for this conversation. Let's start by you just giving us a brief introduction to yourself. Tell us a bit about how you started your movement journey. Take us back, way back.
Oh my God. Okay. Hi, Ivan. It's really nice to speak to you. Thank you for this invitation. Wow, going way back. Oh, I'm wondering how far back. Well, I think in a way my whole movement journey started when I was, well, when did it start? But in a way, for me, crucial was when I was around 17 years old. And I really didn't like sports education in my school. We did mainly we played mainly volleyball, and I was not so good in playing with any ball game, so I had really difficulties. But I really felt like moving, and I knew that I'm enjoying movement, but I didn't enjoy it at school. So what I did, I signed up for a dance class, and it was Contact Improvisation. And so there I was as a teenager with these, for me, old, for some reason, I felt like they were mainly old men. And I started to move with them, and of course, like touching them and rolling over each other. And I was really thrilled that I was in so close contact with people that I didn't know at all and probably would have not known in my life. But I enjoyed being in contact and exploring movement and touch and physicality on a nonverbal way. So I feel this was really like the beginning. Yeah. And then after that, I graduated, I finished high school. I finished, high school, I guess. And then I didn't really know what to do. And I heard about this program where you could study dance for 3 months. And I thought, wow, this sounds really nice to move every day. Imagine you move every day already in the morning. You start movement. Moving in the morning. And so I signed up for this. And there was the moment where I got also introduced to body mind centering. And and we had a teacher who I think she went to a workshop on body mind centering, and she came back from this workshop, and she told us, so today we're going to explore our organs. And I thought, sure, let's do that. But this sounds really crazy. And I remember that I was partnering with her and she was touching my spleen. I had no idea what the spleen is. And I thought, this woman is crazy. She cannot feel my spleen. But then what happened while she was touching my spleen, I started to move, and I started to move in a really different way and powerful way. And I felt like my spleen is jumping through the room in a way that I've never moved before. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. That's really crazy. And at that moment, I thought, well, one day I will study body mind centering more closer, but I think I will do that when I'm really old. So, and I think now I'm really old. So now I'm doing body mind centering. I think coming from that contact improvisation experience, something really triggered in me that I wanted to go more into exploring movement and touch. And I think this is the thread throughout my movement life, movement career, going constantly through movement and touch, movement and touch. Yeah. I don't know if that's really an answer to what you were expecting.
Of course. There are no right or wrong answers.
Ah, good. I'm relieved.
Yeah, so you started with contact improvisation, and then you stayed in that field all throughout these years. And I read a beautiful sentence in your bio on your website. It says, "Every dance is a learning." Yeah, can you expand a little bit on that thought?
I think what was so fascinating and still is for me when I'm moving and either I'm touching another person, that would be in contact improvisation, or I'm touching the floor or the space. I'm always, in a way, through movement, I'm in contact with my environment. And while I'm in contact, while I'm touching, I'm being touched. And while I'm meeting my environment and I'm meeting different aspects of my environment, I'm also meeting different aspects of myself. And with movement and touch, I'm constantly learning about myself. And then I'm learning about myself. And while I'm learning about myself, I'm also learning about other beings and about the world and life in general.
Yes, beautiful. So you said that with your initial contact with BMC, you were very surprised about the idea that you can come into contact with your organs. So would you say that this kind of thinking and this kind of approach to movement, you didn't experience it in your prior education, dance education?
For sure not. Not in that specificity. I mean, if someone told me you can feel your organs, I thought, bah, you cannot feel your organs. You can feel maybe your muscles. You can feel your body moving. But anything that is that deep inside, you cannot feel. And this is also how I learned dance. When I learned dance, we mainly spoke about the bones or the muscles. At that time, the fascia was not really discovered in that way how it's now. So I think now in dance training also there's more talk about fascia. But I think in dance or any movement training, there's rarely other talk or words on other aspects of the body. And there's no, so dance or yoga or whatever, movement teachers are not talking so much about organs or about the fluids of the body or about moving from the nervous system or moving from the glands or all that. And then studying body mind centering, I felt, wow, there's so much more I can move from, and I can, well, and then again, it's that relation, like I can relate to so much more inside myself while I relate to what is outside myself. So there's this ongoing relating thing. And the more I discover, I already said that the more I discover about myself, the more I can bring out into the world and relate to in the world.
Yeah.
And the organs are, for movement, they are so wonderful because they have, I mean, first of all, they take so much space in our body. Our whole upper body, torso is filled with organs, and then they have so much weight. So when we move, they really have a strong impact on our movement ability. Yeah. It's really crazy that we don't talk so much about organs when we move.
Right. It's interesting because yesterday I was at an organ workshop here in Zagreb, and at the end of the class we were sharing experiences, and also one person shared his experience and how he feels the fullness of the body and all this organ quality, but at the same time he was very confused and doubting that he's actually feeling the organs. You know, he was posing the same question like you said you had in the beginning. Am I really feeling the organs? What do you think why it's so hard for people to initially connect with this idea that every cell has a consciousness and, and a vibration.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good
Is
question.
it an educational thing? Is it just something that we don't learn?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for sure, it's well, I think very generally speaking, how often do we really talk about what we're sensing and what we're feeling, even on an emotional level? I think we, like, really generally speaking, and of course there are like different degrees and different people talking in different ways, but I would say, in very generally speaking, the way how we talk about what we can feel inside is very limited.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we put our nervous system really high up, and that we don't really trust that there's so much more we can sense in our body. Yeah, I think it's how we're how we grew up. And then that comes back to this differentiation between body and mind, as if this is something separate,
Mm-hmm.
that we have a mind that is separate from our body.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's just not separate, but it's that idea that we have, and that also limits our perception, and then also with that our words on what we can perceive.
Mm-hmm. Great. Now that you mentioned this connection of body mind, and this connection and this union is also in the very name, body mind centering. So for you, what is the meaning of this name? Like, and in a definition, what does body mind centering mean for you?
Yeah, oh my god. Well, as I understand it, and I'm not English speaking, English like my mother tongue is obviously not English, so I'm German. But what I understand with the word mind, you can see the mind as really like brain mind, like cognitive mind, but mind can be so much more. It can be the like spirit, it can be the consciousness. In body mind centering, we talk about the mind of the room, and meaning something like the quality or the atmosphere that is in the room. And when we work with body mind centering, we go into the different minds of certain body systems. So we explore the mind of the bones, which is different from the mind of the organs. So we put the mind, but meaning something like the consciousness or the spirit, or into, or we don't put it into the bones because it's in the bones, but we explore the quality, the consciousness of the bones. We explore the quality, the consciousness of the organs, of the nervous system, of the fluids, of the glands. So then we use this term mind in a very broad way and in relation to the different body systems. And then if we put all this together, there is the mind of the body in general. And for me, that's the body mind that we are centering, meaning that we find some sort of, or we're looking for some sort of balance in the presence, in the being, in the movement of the body. Yeah. So for me, that's the word body mind centering, where we explore the mind of the body, which you cannot separate with the cognitive mind. It goes together, but it's putting more in a way, more, maybe, is it democratic or democratic way of looking at the body, or the more non-hierarchical, maybe that's a better word, non-hierarchical look at the body, where every body system, every part of the body has its mind, and all together they form the whole community that the body is. From there's expression out into the world. So while I'm speaking, of course, there are these thoughts, cognitive thoughts, but where do they come from? They come from my body. I'm speaking from my body. And there's that relation with my cognitive thought. It's together. I'm not separating it. Yeah, and then I'm speaking. It's coming out of more than just my thoughts. It's coming out from the whole Nina. I'm speaking from the whole Nina. What and who is that? What is that? Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I like this idea about non-hierarchical look of the body, which also translates into the community aspect of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Where in a way I feel these practices are kind of undermining the hierarchical concepts and putting it more into a horizontal level of cooperation and community.
Yeah. And then it's so fun to move from there, I think, because then I can initiate movement from any place in my body. And it gives more, to me at least, it gives more freedom to my movement and to my expression, because I can move from any place, and any place of my body can express itself. And any place has its value, its weight, to be present, to be alive, to be part of experiencing life also. Yeah. I think that's why I stayed with body, mind, centering, because I feel so much more rich in my experiences, and so much more rich and full in my expression of myself.
Right. Yeah, I feel it enables us to reach a more authentic expression of who we are in our totality, in our richness. So obviously you didn't wait to get old to get into the mindset. Why did you think?
Depends how you look at it.
Why did you think at the beginning that you need to get old? That's so funny for you.
Well, first of all, because I thought I'd make this amazing dance career, becoming a performer and dancer. I wanted to do that first. And then I also felt people who teach body, mind, centering, they have so much knowledge. And I have to gain so much more also life knowledge and life experience before I can teach it. I think that was also this feeling. And then also realizing, okay, body, mind, centering, it's something I can do when I'm old. And maybe performing in I don't know, but at least I can teach body, mind, centering also when I'm 70 or something. That's 80 maybe. I don't have to be this young, jumpy, amazing dancer to teach body, mind, centering.
It's true. It's a long-term investment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. So then you started your education with Moveus?
Yes. Well, I really tried to become a performer and dancer, and I suffered a little bit from the difficulty in finding paid jobs and paid, that dance would pay my living. And I also didn't believe in myself really. So it also kind of didn't work how I thought it should work. And but it was clear to me that I wanted to stay in the movement realm, and I discovered yoga and teaching yoga, and I really enjoy teaching movement to people. I did that for 15 years. Also feeling teaching movement that's where I feel at home, and bringing movement and experience of the body to people who are maybe not dancers and mainly sitting during their daily life. But it was clear to me that somehow yoga it was great. I enjoy doing it, but it just didn't feel completely right. And then I saw that Moveus was offering a yoga and BMC program. And I thought, wow, that's so cool. Maybe through that, I'll understand more about yoga if I add BMC. So I did that training. But the outcome of that training was that I realized I feel so much more at home in body mind centering than in yoga. And then I really wanted to continue to study body mind centering, but also first only for myself. I didn't see myself teaching body mind centering. I realized, it does me really good. I'm enjoying going into these trips of exploring the body on like whatever level. And I really first I did it for myself. Yeah. And then, there are some homeworks you have to do when you study it. You have to teach to your friends. And I started that. And there I realized, wow, it's so cool to teach it. It's so much more fun to teach body mind centering than yoga postures for me. And and then it kind of went really easy in teaching.
So what was your yoga background?
Yeah, I studied in a really, really nice school, and I'm so thankful for doing that. I studied in New York at Yoga Center, which was a school that combined Vinyasa Yoga and Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy. And I think I learned a lot. I learned a lot about many things. Also, I learned a lot about teaching there. I'm really, really thankful. So my background is Vinyasa Yoga and some Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist meditation coming along.
And how do you feel that the BMC experience has transformed your yoga practice? Because I feel, especially in modern yoga, with a lot of focus on posture and alignment and some kind of an external form, I feel that body-mind centering also enables the asana to arise from within.
Yeah, exactly. That would be my answer. Yeah. I mean, again, here I feel how it is taught in the, let's say, the Western world is really a lot about bones and muscles. It's not taking into account that there's more in the body than muscles and bones, and that we also move from our organs and fluids and glands and whatever. And that also, how to say that? I mean, the asanas are a lot about alignment and about following a form and fulfilling a form. And then there is the question, how do I fulfill the form? Or what's also why this form? Why does the triangle pose look like this? What about this form? And then you can look at it so many different aspects. You can look at it from the bones, you can look at it from the muscles. But if you add, for example, if you add the lungs supporting the arms in triangle, you have a different experience of triangle. Or if you add your large intestine to support your legs in triangle pose, you have a different experience and different expression of the pose. That would only, like, now looking at really the physicality of these asanas, and then you have the whole philosophical aspect of yoga, which then brings us back to the topic of how body-mind is connected and goes together.
So who were your teachers at Moveus?
Well, Jens Johansen and Friederike Tröscher as the main teachers. And then in our program, they invited, in every course, they invited a guest teacher. So we had a lot of different teachers as well. Mm-hmm. From other like teachers from other programs, or also directors from other programs. So I think I learned a variety of teaching styles and a variety of transmitting body-mind centering. Mm-hmm. But the main teachers were Friederike and Jens.
Do you feel for a teacher that it's important to expose yourself to different kinds of styles and teachers?
Yes, for sure.
Like, how would you describe the process of developing a personal style of teaching?
But I really think having a lot of different experiences and also understanding what is your learning style, because we all have different learning styles. So maybe the teachers I learned a lot from would not be the teachers you would learn a lot from, because we have different learning styles. And that's something to understand in your path of learning. And then I think I'm teaching from my whole background, like my whole history of my life. I'm, of course, including what I learned, what I thought was what touched me in my learning career. And then I think this is what I take in and I processed, and this in a way is also coming out when I'm teaching. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, the teaching style, it's also about being honest and transparent to who you are and what is speaking through you.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Can you talk a little bit about BMC education in total? It's such a long and transformative process. Give us a short description of how was it like to finish the whole thing. So the SME program, the practitioner, the IDMI, and the teacher training. It's a lot.
Wow.
A lot of work.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of work. Yeah. A lot of lying on the floor and rolling around, and a lot of wonderful experiences, and also a lot of challenges. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I did was like almost 2 years of this BMC and yoga training. And then I did the 2 years of SME. After the SME, kind of right away, they started a practitioner program, and I did that. So that's another 2 years, so 4 years, 6 years. So then finishing that, I studied 6 years body-mind centering. And while I was in the practitioner, I already started teaching body-mind centering. And as I already said, I enjoyed it so much, and I felt at home. I felt this is really me. I'm embodying body-mind centering, and I'm enjoying it to transmit it. And at that time, it was also clear that Moveus had already asked me if I would be interested in joining Moveus as a teacher. And to be able to teach in a program, you have to finish the teacher program. So for me, it was clear that, I'm still so interested in teaching and how to teach. So it was clear for me, I really want to do the teacher training. And I think there was a little bit of time, maybe a year between practitioner and teacher training, and then I started teacher training right away. So I think all in all was about 10 years, with a bit of time always in between. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, my reason to study, to go into the teacher training was really because I wanted to also exchange with other people who are teaching body-mind centering, and I was curious on how to teach, and so that was the main aspect. But in my mind was also, I would love to teach in the programs one day. Yeah. And then, and then I knew, okay, after doing the teacher training, it was clear that I would join Moveus. I thought it would be nice if I also have done IDMI, if one day I will go more towards directing a program. I want to have the full palette. Mm-hmm. At that time, I also thought I would have my own child, and I thought it would just fit perfectly. And then also to understand more the background, like where does body-mind centering come from? Because a lot of body-mind centering, Bonnie worked a lot with children, and I could feel how the developmental work is so, like, it's really like the center of the work, because it includes all. And this is really what IDMI was for me. It has all of body-mind centering in it, because you do the developmental work, you do the embryology, but you also look how all the body systems are in movement development. So you have all the body systems, you have the reflexes, it's all in there. So then even though my goal at the moment, who knows what will happen, I don't think I will work a lot with babies, but it made me understand so much more about all the other courses in body-mind centering. Also, everything you do in the practitioner program somehow is part of IDMI. It's a course, even if you don't work with babies. I think you understand so much more. Yeah.
Does that include embryology as well?
Yes, totally. Yeah, there is embryology in it. It's I think no BMC course without embryology, and it's just so wonderful to go back to where everything started, and that we come from that very fluid environment where we start our growing, all like the whole body, all its aspects of the body, but also where the reflexes start, where movement development starts. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a fascinating area for me, embryology, and in a way I would say it's almost like some sort of a magical process. What is your experience of going into these spaces? How do you see it recreating at the moment when we go into the exploration of embryology?
For me, embryology is a place where time is somehow doesn't make sense anymore. It's like a timeless space. And also where our linear thinking doesn't work anymore, because a lot of things happen at the same time, and there is consciousness, and I mean, we start growing our body before we have a nervous system, and the nervous system is one of the last features in our body to emerge. So a lot is already happening before we have a nervous system. So through looking at embryology, we can come back to this sensation of the body that was there before we have a nervous system, and that we can, that what we talked in the beginning about, how do I sense my body on that non-hierarchical way? How do I come back to the cells themselves? And how do I go into that experience of myself without putting the nervous system on the hierarchical level on top. That's really for me embryology. And then I think the structures of the body, let's say the bones, for example, they enjoy feeling themselves in the process, because the process has not ended. We say, okay, we go into embryology, but we are going into the whole process of life, the life of the bone, and it has not stopped, because it's still growing and changing, and it's the same for any organ or any aspect of the body. So we are looking at more at the process, and it's not finished. So we also look on ourselves, but not in a static way, more process focused way.
I love this, because I feel at a certain point in our adult age, we somehow have the tendency to get stuck in this feeling that we are a fixed structure. And the embryology is breaking that and just tuning us into this process that we are.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's amazing, because then it changes the whole being when we realize, okay, we are part of this continuous journey, which is never ending, really.
Yes. Yeah, and then when you touch yourself or when you touch another person, you're touching change.
Right.
You're touching impermanence. Like, yeah. You can only go with the process. You cannot, in a way, you cannot like, fix things.
Right. Wow, that's also very, very deep as a metaphor for for human relationship, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, this is how I want to be seen, and I mean, I'm changing. Hopefully, I try to grow, and that's how I want to see other people, and it is what is happening. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a personal favorite or a most inspirational field of interest within BMC?
Wow, this is hard to say, because I feel that whatever I'm teaching, I'm going into that field, and then I'm so amazed. If you now ask me, I mean, for a long time it was embryology. I feel, as I've said before, all the developmental process I find very interesting, because I feel everything is in there. You have all the body systems in there. You have embryology in there. You have the relationship of yourself with the world, with the environment around you. You have the reflexes in there. So I feel the developmental patterns, developmental process. It's, for me at the moment, really, wow, so fascinating. Yeah, how do we become who we are, and how do we interact with the world? Yeah, if you look at babies, how different they are, just as every human being is so different, and then it's already in there how we interact, how we live our lives in a way. For me, that's really fascinating. Yeah, and then if I look now at people moving, you see the developmental process in our movements. It's all in there. How do we yield and push? How do we reach and pull? And then it's on that physical level. Yeah, you can look at, okay, how do I relate to the earth? How do I relate to space? But then it has all the other levels in it. How do I embark on a project, how do I yield and push in that project? How do I reach and pull in human relationships? How do I yield into the relationship? How do I reach into the relationship? Yeah, I think it has all the levels.
For you personally, what is the greatest gift you received from this journey? Gifts, plural.
I think the greatest gift is to feel myself, to experience myself. And with that to connect to myself, to connect to all the aspects of myself. And through connecting with myself, I can connect to other people. I can connect to my environment. I had, before I studied body mind centering, and still I have often moments where I feel very disconnected to myself, or where I feel myself, but I don't really feel myself. And with body mind centering, I got a lot of tools how I can sink into myself and reconnect. And also I got tools to accept, okay, there is maybe some parts of me, of myself, of my body where it feels a bit numb or dark or not alive, and to accept that and be with that and take it in my experience. It's not a nice feeling to not feel yourself. It's a lot of discomfort. And then how can I be with the discomfort? And then, sometimes I would, if I have these moments where I feel more disconnected, or it's not so easy to feel my full presence, then with body mind centering, I have tools to, okay, maybe it doesn't work through feeling my bones, but it might work through feeling my organs, or I can allow, maybe it's difficult to feel or to allow the thoracic diaphragm to breathe, but I can go to the cells that are breathing. So I have different pathways or different ways how I can, again, come to a connection to myself. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Would you say you use it like an everyday practice, or is it just something you have in your repository?
I think I do body mind centering every day. Right. Sometimes not. So like, I don't like say, okay, now it's 1 hour and I practice body mind centering, but it's while I'm cooking, I'm feeling, whatever what could I feel? I don't know, my two lower arm bones or something like this. Or while I'm sitting, I feel my sit bones right now, or I feel I have that sensation of the ground underneath me. And for me, that's already body mind centering. Or how am I stacking the diaphragms on top of each other? Or sometimes when I do something, I realize, oh, now I'm more into certain aspect of my body. Now I'm more into lymph, but it might need more heart, or so I have all these tools so I can do it. And sometimes, I forget about all this, and it's not consciously there, but I feel it's in my life. Yeah. But I'm having a hard time to say, okay, in the morning I do half an hour BMC. I'm not doing this. Yeah. My yoga practice, and in my yoga practice I have all the toolkit of body mind centering.
Yeah, I loved what you said about this, feeling the disconnection from self and then having all these abilities to tune in. And I feel that whether we go to any system or at cells themselves, once we come into contact with self, we have so much support from within us on so many different levels, whether it's any system, bones, organs, fluids, they all give a different level of support. And I find it fascinating that us as human beings feel without support so many times when we lose this connection, and it's always there. And I think that's a beautiful thing that BMC is reminding us to access this internal support.
Yeah. It's nice. Yeah, I like that. It's strange how very often we're looking for support from outside. And then I think we can only receive the support from outside if we already have it inside of us. There's it can only go into resonance from within. I think there is also, now I'm really, I'm stimulated by your comment and your questions. It's also because we are constantly changing. And maybe we are looking for support means stability. And we're looking for stability in something that is not moving. But inside of us, it's moving, we're changing. And to find that support in that constant inner change is maybe also difficult to see, as long as we hold the concept of support means non-changing stability.
Right. I feel it also relates to what we were talking before about this process of embryology being a constant fluid, in a way, tuning into this flow and going with the change instead of trying to find a fixed position, because there is no fixed position. There is only a constant change of centers.
Exactly. And when you support someone else through a difficult process, you need to change your way of support, because in one moment something in a certain way is needed, but then at another moment something else is needed. And that's the same for within yourself. When you support yourself from within, you need to change. And it is, and you are changing.
And this can be seen very well in giving touch, this listening and tuning in, and then adapting, changing.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your experience during the pandemic and starting the BMC online series, with you teaching regularly on a weekly basis? How was that experience? And it's still going on, and it's an amazing amount of material that you've recorded over the years that you now have as a library. Can you please talk a little bit about that?
Well, the beginning was during the first lockdown. I wanted to offer something for the students in Berlin. I was teaching, before the pandemic, I was teaching 2 regular weekly classes in Berlin. And when the lockdown started, like everything else, of course, this stopped. And I was really sad to not be in contact with those people. So my idea actually was to offer something for my Berlin students. And then when I published it on Facebook, that I would give online, and I thought I'd just give one online class, and I didn't really believe in it, because how can you teach BMC when you're not in the same room? It didn't make sense to me, but I really wanted to offer something so that people could still connect with each other and with me and with BMC. So I published it on Facebook, And in the beginning it was also just donation based. I thought I'd do something. And then I realized, oh shit, if I publish it on Facebook, everyone can see it and everyone could join. And I think it was like this moment where I realized, yeah, internet works worldwide. And yeah, then I had this 1 week where I thought, shit, that means everyone could join, even people from Australia or my teachers in the US, or like it's public, it's open. And I was about to stop it again because I thought, no, this is too much. But then I talked actually with Olive, who was also starting online classes from Norway. And she said, well, Nina, just do one class. And I thought I'll do one class. And I remember how, yeah, it was really hard to imagine how can I guide and lead people through an experience in their body when we're not in the same room. And when I was teaching, I realized, wow, this is so nice. Yes, I am in my room, but somehow there is a connection to all these people. And then I think in the first class, I think maybe there were something like 70 people joining, and they really joined from all over the world. I remember Australia, New Zealand, Asia, like US was really crazy. And I felt so connected with everyone, and I think everyone felt or most of the people felt connected, at least what they told me. And was this amazing moment where we were all locked in, but we felt, we are connected, we're not alone. And it was this moment also, I was at my parents' place, I felt very isolated from my friends, and I had this moment, oh man, we are connected. And so I continued, and there were more people joining, and was then for several weeks around 100 people joining. And I just enjoyed being part of this huge community that body mind centering is. And it was not, I didn't feel it was about me, it was about exploring something together while we're all experiencing this tremendous world change, what's happening situation. Yeah. And I do, of course, I still think it's not, of course, it's not the same when you are in the same room exploring. But still, it's the nice thing about teaching online, that I feel people are in their private places. They feel really safe. And they have completely the freedom to take in what I say, but also to kind of wander off and a bit like do their thing and then come back, because it's not disturbing the group. Yeah. I can feel when people are with me or when they are not with me. There is something being transmitted through the screen. Yeah. And then I mean, the teaching is different for sure. It's very different when you teach online. I feel I bring in a lot more information than maybe I would bring in a class if we meet in the same room. Also because the timing is different. It's a little bit faster when you're online. There is something about the screen and something has to be faster.
That's interesting. Why do you think it's that? Because of the technology?
I think because when we are in the same room, there is so much more transmitted than only through the words. People feel my presence, they feel the other people's presence. I can say one word and it ripples, and it has a longer effect. But then online, you mainly hear my voice. Maybe you see a little bit of me, but you only see me two-dimensional. So there is less information coming in. So I feel I need to feed more to that we can stay contained. yeah, I feel when I'm in the same room with people, I can say something, but then I can give a lot of space, and it's still, there is my presence holding the space, and it's more difficult online.
But in a live setting, you are feeling the space and feeling the mind of the room, right? And online, would you say that you also feel some sort of a collective field, or it's not so clear anymore?
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I mean, it's, I don't feel it. I don't really feel it. I see it. I mean, I see the rooms where people are in. I see the people, and through that, something is coming back. But if I don't look at the screen and I'm in the room, wow, it's, for me, it's hard to feel the field. Yeah, it's, I need a strong, my own presence, very strong. Yeah. Yeah, I'm always asking people to keep their like screens available, even if I don't see the person, but to see the room where they are in. That really helps me. Yeah, I remember I was teaching, I don't remember where it was, where I didn't see anyone. Yeah, sometimes I mean, of course, sometimes I do these recorded classes, but also there was a place where I didn't see anyone, and wow, that feels very lonely. That it's a lot of work for myself. Yeah, to keep that sensation. Okay, there are other people. We are in the same field. Yeah.
I don't think I have any more questions.
Great. I don't have anything more to say.
Would you like to add something? Anything comes to mind?
Wow, no, thank you. It's wonderful to speak to you. And
yeah, it was a beautiful conversation. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. And thank you for being such an amazing teacher. I always feel very inspired by you, and it's a joy to be in your classes and share space with you.
Thank you, Ivan. Oh, it's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.